What's up, guys? Here with you at FC Wonderkid, episode 142. Here with my guy, Bretson. How are you?
I'm doing great, Alex. I guess a little bit better than you. I've heard you're a little under the weather, so if there's a little vomit break or something, no, I gotta start
It's the Chelsea
episode
form.
142. I gotta, yeah, I think so. I think so. But I gotta start episode 142 with a quick story because there's nowhere to really fit this in to it. But did you see what happened in the Eredivisie with the Booth brothers between Taylor and Zach Booth in the Dutch Eredivisie? Did you hear about this?
I did, because I follow FB Wonderkids on Twitter.
I
And
like
you
it.
should
I
all
like it.
follow FB Wonderkids on Twitter. Going bold.
Dang right. Dang right. Follow us individually as well there. But the Booth brothers, just really quickly, and then I know we got to get to some hard-hitting stuff. Premier League, Mbappe, the transfer window all wrapped up. But let's start with the Booth brothers. Here we go.
Yes.
You got Zach Booth, who is 19 years old. He currently plays for Volendam, used to be in the Leicester Academy, okay? Then you've got Taylor Booth, 22 years old, plays for Utrecht, has had a tough time this year coming back from injury. And both teams are really hurting right now and trying to get back up in the Eredivisie table. Anyway, the Booth brothers play each other, which is pretty interesting over the weekend. It's not a first. There are plenty of brothers that play in leagues. But they take the field. Zach Booth, the 19-year-old, scores first for Volendam. They go up 1-0. Then, before you know it, Taylor Booth, the 22-year-old, scores his first professional hat trick as Utrecht put 4 goals to Volendam's 2 goals, of which Zach had 1. So there you go. The Booth brothers have 4 goals, and the rest of the teams have 2 goals remaining. I don't know. I can't imagine that that's ever happened before, let alone 2 Americans scoring 4 goals in an Eredivisie game. But you got to admit, if the Booth family was in attendance for their first game against each other, you got to admit those are 2 pretty proud parents, because, my goodness, that was a first professional hat trick for Taylor Booth and a first professional goal for Zach Booth, and they're 19 and 22 years old, respectively. And those that might recognize the Taylor Booth name, he was in the Bayern Munich Academy for some time. So I just didn't know where we were going to fit that in here, but I had to say it. And congrats to a family. Congrats to Taylor. Congrats to Zach. And hopefully one day we can talk to both of them at the same time. That'd be pretty cool.
For sure. And what a story it is in the Eredivisie. And yes, you had
great.
Rasmus Winter Hoyland playing against his brothers. And you had playing together the Williams brothers and Lemina are now together at Wolves. Together at Wolves to make some good results like we saw against Chelsea. I'm going to say it from the start of this podcast because it must be said to Chelsea fans. Mauricio Pochettino ain't the man. You have more goals suffered than goals scored this season. The way you play has no improvement. And don't tell me you don't have players to play better football, because that is pure lies. Pochettino should be doing better. And I guarantee you when I say this, Ruben Amorim and Jose Mourinho, 2 Portuguese managers, would 100% do better than Pochettino right now with what he's doing with Chelsea. He cannot be handed so much responsibility in such an iconic club. He didn't win a trophy with Tottenham. He's not going to win it at Chelsea, in my opinion, too.
No.
Can't be the case.
Nah. And that's funny. I was going to ask you the question, are you Poch out? And you just answered it. And you answered it with no hesitation in your voice whatsoever. But here's my test, Alex. Listen, I get that they spent $1 billion, right? Okay, that's wonderful. They brought in a lot of young players and all that, and you got to give it time to gel and all that jazz, okay? But here's my test. You spend that amount of money, and aside from maybe Cole Palmer, I can't think of one player so far under Poch's guidance that has looked better or improved than their previous selves, whether it's Madueke, whether it's Mudryk, whether it's Badiashile. I mean, Badiashile has had a game or two that's been pretty good, but he has been nothing but net negative so far this particular season. He was great when he came in originally last season, but apologies are too little too late. And that is the largest test here. It's one thing to win a few games, to see Cole Palmer, to see but Moises Caicedo looks worse. Enzo has not looked at his best, right? And every time Caicedo gets caught out or he gets dispossessed, I mean, they still throw him out there and they still leave him on an island. There's no actual support for him. Every other Malo Gusto does not look better. I mean, there's even if it's marginal improvement, Alex, I would probably be reining in my calls to say Poch needs to go, but you need somebody that can curate that. You need somebody that can encourage that and learn from that and work from it and maybe make some tactical switches to, I don't know, play to their strengths. It's just pissing me off because Alex, the next 8 fixtures, it ain't getting better for them. They've got Liverpool, they've got Villa, they've got Arsenal, they've got Spurs, they've got Manchester City all in the next 8 games. If he's not out yet, he sure as hell is going to be out in the next 8 games.
Pochettino is in high risk of staying with those fixtures. I hadn't seen that next fixtures, and that's a great thing that you're pointing it out. Another thing, too, on X, we see many Chelsea fans say Rome wasn't built in a day, defending Pochettino. I agree that Rome wasn't built in a day, but it still had strong foundations. And this team, tactically, there's no foundations in my point of view. Players, they do have talent, but foundations that is merit from the coach, you do not see it. And last season, they were in 10th. Now, they're in 11th. So they're not in a better situation in this fixture in the Premier League. But you said it. Cole Palmer is the star boy at Chelsea. And even though Pochettino isn't doing such a good job at Chelsea, Joe Shields is the man to thank for such a good choice of bringing in Cole Palmer. Joe Shields, thank you for bringing Cole Palmer to Chelsea, because Cole Palmer became the first player under the age of 21 or 21 to score more than 10 Premier League goals for Chelsea in a season. That is mad. In such a short period of time, he showed that it was the right decision for his career to go to a big team like Chelsea and get more likely picked for an English national team in the Euros than if he was at Man City. So Cole Palmer, keep going bold.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that wasn't obviously Poch improving him. I think it was more him getting the limelight, him needing that kind of that stage, and he's, who knows, maybe he'd be better, even better if you slotted him in that City 11. I think a lot of players would be a whole lot better if you slotted him in that Manchester City 11. But listen, if Poch goes, right, I think there's a lot of people that say it's not necessarily Pochettino. It's the people above Pochettino. It's they need to learn from their mistakes, or they need to be sent packing. And it's whether or not you will get better without them, or this will just extend this mire, this 10th, this 11th place, this normalcy, even after that amount of a spend. And I think that's what scares people. They want to go with kind of the lesser evil, which is, hey, you paid for this guy, get him in. He's had mild success everywhere he's gone. He obviously made Spurs get pretty dang close to a trophy without winning one, obviously in a Champions League final too. But I don't know. And I'm at it right now where the uncertainty of the future is probably better off than the certainty of what you've got with Poch.
And there's no European competitions. No European competitions.
True.
When Tuchel gets sacked by Todd Boehly, at least they were in a Champions League. And what scares all Chelsea fans right now is that when they sack Tuchel, from now until now, they haven't had a quality manager on that same level. What, you're going to tell me Potter was on the level of Tuchel? Lies. Pochettino's at the level of Tuchel? Lies. Bringing in Lampard. That was the solution? Lies. Everything that Todd Boehly's presenting ever since he sacked Tuchel, it's been lies for the future of Chelsea. It hasn't been helping. And now that's what's got to change. He has to hit a home run. And a home run for Chelsea, I am not joking, and it's not Portuguese bias. It's Ruben Amorim giving him the right tools. The players do what you want and giving a free pass of 2 years. I would do that, but it's too bold of a choice to do right now. Because right now, Chelsea needs a full restructure. Full restructure, in my view. They sold Mason Mount. They sold Kai Havertz. They sold Timo Werner. They've sold so many foundational players. N'Golo Kante, did he leave Chelsea as a legend? No. The culture, the football heritage of Chelsea is showing to be toxic right now at this moment, and they need to bring back their identity. Legends like John Terry with the support of Jose Mourinho. People that know what's to be a true blue. And maybe bring in a Lampard in a, I don't know, type of job that he's more with the club, but he's a manager. I don't know. But they need more references, icons of Chelsea. Yeah. So it's a sad time for Chelsea fans. But let us know, what are you thinking down below with Chelsea, because I really believe Mauricio Pochettino is going to be sacked. And I also really believe, unfortunately, Eddie Howe is going to be sacked too. I know a ton of injuries have happened this season for Newcastle, but the truth is, Newcastle board doesn't want that Champions League season to be seen as a fluke. They don't want that. And another fact is, no English manager has won a Premier League title. No English manager. For a brief stint of that season, I had hope for the next 2-3 years with Eddie Howe at Newcastle. But now I'm going to say it. It's not going to be Eddie Howe that's going to win a Premier League title with Newcastle too. So I expect maybe it's not immediate, but in the next 6-12 months for sure, I think Eddie Howe is not going to be the manager of Newcastle.
Well, there was always the expectation that he would hit his, I guess, managerial cap, right? Especially when it comes to Newcastle and what they're looking to be building, right? They want charisma. They want somebody that is probably a bigger identity long term. Short term, Eddie Howe was the man for the job. I think he's taken them pretty much as far as they could go. I think, unfortunately, you're right in the sense that
4-4 to
the
Luton.
Injuries.
Entertaining.
Yeah, I'm with you. Not only that, St. James Park is just not very scary if you're conceding 4 to Luton there. You're conceding 3 to Nottingham Forest and 3 to Manchester City and 3 to Nottingham Forest, right? That is not good. If there's one thing that the Toon prides themselves in, it would be St. James Park as our fortress. And that it was. I mean, we knew that there would be, I don't know if you knew, but I knew that there would be a reversion to the mean in terms of that defense last season and how dang good and cohesive it was. And they're already just well beyond what they conceded last year, and it doesn't seem like there's any letting up when it comes down to it. But I also gotta give Luton Town their just desserts when it comes to that, because my goodness, they have been punching so far above their weight.
I can give an exclusive to FC Wonderkid fans. I know a person or two with good ties with Newcastle, and I can guarantee you that Trippier's going to leave Newcastle and Joe Wellington's going to leave Newcastle too. A lot of problems are happening in that locker room. They've been doing things at that Newcastle City that a lot of people that are good people wouldn't be proud of. That's all I'm going to say, because I don't want to expose what's been happening behind the scenes. But the board is embarrassed with some of the behaviors of these players. And I can guarantee you, one of the main reasons of this Newcastle poor form is the bad man management of Eddie Howe in this part of the season right now. And that was one of his best qualities last season. The way he interacted with the players, the way he was a leader with the players. And now, because of certain behaviors behind the scenes, Joe Wellington, Trippier, and other players might be leaving because, you'll see. Soon it's going to be much more exposed, unfortunately. But yes, Breton, Newcastle is doing really, really not as good as Aston Villa right now. Aston Villa made the right choice by appointing Unai Emery to be their main man. They are balling out, and Leon Bailey this season in all competitions has 10 goals and 9 assists. It's the Unai Emery effect in full show. Ollie Watkins, 11 goals, 10 assists, and one of my favorite players to watch in the Premier League is Douglas Luiz. And I want to see Douglas Luiz in the Copa America. Completely deserves to be there. Douglas Luiz, this season, for what he's doing, totally deserves to get a lot of minutes in Copa America for Brazil, and he's one of the best defensive mids in the world. Arsenal should have got him, but what an extension by Aston Villa at the time. Deadline day moves.
Yeah, and listen, they bounce back. They bounce back after bad games, and then they have games like this. And you mentioned it, Ollie Watkins. I remember when they splashed 30 million plus euros on him, and I said, "Oh, I don't know." And this is obviously pre-Emery. I don't know if this is going to work out. And boy, have I been wrong. He's got 28 goal involvements in all competitions this season, and he is the first one in the Premier League to reach both 10 goals and 10 assists so far this season. And I don't think anyone can argue that this man has improved in every facet of his game. He was not great at holding up the ball, or not, up to snuff. He is now very good at that. He's built a link-up play with pretty much anyone, whether it's Moussa Diaby or it's Leon Bailey. He is better in the air. He's stronger on the ground as well. He's smarter. He's smarter with his movements. And he has given Gareth Southgate a definite headache when it comes to Euro selection day. And this is from a guy that got so much flack last season, right? For missing open chances, for missing big chances, to the point where he was getting maligned, much like a Richarlison was early on this particular season. So I love seeing guys like Ollie Watkins improve and use that as fuel, use all that craziness as fuel, and Leon Bailey too. I mean, Leon Bailey has been in a fight with himself in terms of staying fit and being available for selection for the longest time. And I'm scared because we've got a Gold Cup semifinal coming up against a Leon Bailey who's in the hottest form since he was at Leverkusen, or since he was in the Belgian Pro League, I think.
But well referred to Ollie Watkins with Southgate, because only Harry Kane is a better English striker right now informed than Ollie Watkins. Don't give me Ivan Toney. Don't give me Callum Wilson is better than Ollie Watkins, because it's not the case with how Unai Emery is playing Ollie Watkins at Aston Villa. Unreal form. Right. Completely agree with what you're saying. And yes, do you agree with me that Douglas Luiz has to start or get more minutes in Copa America?
I do. I absolutely do. And I've been a fan of Douglas Luiz since last season, since Emery time. I think we all know what he needed to improve, and I think he's improved it. And there you go. Therein lies the rub, Alex. You can look at every player with Villa, and you can say, my goodness, Unai Emery has squeezed out a whole lot more than what Pochettino is squeezing out of Chelsea right now. And therein lies the difference, right? Now, I understand it's age. There's an age difference here. Watkins is 26, 27 versus, say, a Nico Jackson.
There's a money difference.
But there's a huge, and and you almost feel bad for these guys getting. Anyway, I'm backtracking and going back to Chelsea here, but you're looking at a squad. You're looking at Unai Emery's influence, and it is it's a great thing to see. And John McGinn, obviously, Douglas Luiz, heck, Alex Moreno's back in the talk, right? I mean, it's great. And Boubacar Kamara has not exactly had the best season, but he has had stretches that have been befitting of a team that should be in the Champions League at some point.
And the signings, they're all good. Moussa Diaby, I know, coming off the bench.
Yes.
Pau Torres, great signing. Thielema adds a lot to this team. So Zaniolo even. Like, I love what Unai Emery is doing. And we're mentioning Unai Emery being a Spanish manager. And a Spanish manager went bold today with a vital win over Liverpool. A vital win. And I know Alisson, Van Dijk had a couple of mistakes in that game. But Arsenal beating Liverpool in the Emirates is a statement. I don't care what you say. It is one. But one thing's for sure. I still believe I still believe inside me that Liverpool will be finishing ahead of Arsenal. I still believe that's going to be the case. But this was a massive win by Arsenal. And big congrats to Arteta Ball that Trossard scored, Martinelli scored, and Saka scored. Imagine if they had a world-class striker, Arsenal. Imagine. They would literally be contenders to win the Champions League. I don't put them in that talk because of Bayern, Man City, and Real Madrid. But if Arsenal had a world-class striker, I would believe that they would be winning a trophy at the end of this season. But who knows the Premier League? Who knows?
Yeah, well, I'm gonna actually put this win in the column of Mikel Arteta getting so absolutely insanely angry at those Barca kind of fake news situations after Xavi stepping down. I think he wanted to show everybody he's not going anywhere anytime soon. But yeah, I am in agreement with you. That was a very weird, uncharacteristic, crappy display by Virgil van Dijk, Alisson. I mean, just miscommunication issues. Ibrahima Konate getting the red card.
Havertz exploited Konate. 2 yellow cards on Konate. True. That was one of the best matches I saw of Havertz. With no goal, I know. What a moment. What a moment.
Yeah. And he should have had more, and that's the crazy part. Like Kai Havertz, just in terms of shaping the ball when he was going around, I forget who he was toe-to-toe with, but taken down in the box, he kept falling down like crazy. Kai Havertz, he's such a frustrating player. Such a very, very frustrating player because he made Bukayo Saka's goal, right, by essentially missing a point-blank at point-blank range, and it fell into Saka's lap. But I think the star of the show for me in this game was not Saliba. It was not Trossard. It was not any of the goal scorers. It very clearly was Declan Rice. And it was Declan Rice and Odegaard. You know what? Declan Rice for me was by far the best in this particular game because he didn't ask for anything. He didn't ask for the headline. He just played a really solid game of football. And I was actually heading into the locker room, right, after they had equalized on that Gabriel own goal. I was like, they just awaken a beast because they played a really good first half of football. And then they followed up with an even better second half. But I just got to say that Declan Rice game for me is exactly why you buy a guy like him.
And that's why Declan Rice starts for England for sure. And England's is looking very promising in midfield. But before we get to that, I think Arsenal beating Liverpool 3-1, the biggest winners in my view are Man City. Man City with this result are closer to Liverpool. And at Arsenal, I don't think they have Man City's number. I think Guardiola beats this Arsenal team. And it's going to be interesting until the end of the season what's going to be happening. But Saka has 30 games this season. 24 goal contributions. 24. This guy is for sure the star boy. He's an icon of Arsenal. This man is the reference of Arteta era. Arteta's era with Saka, Saliba, Odegaard, even a Ben White is starting to be a very good reference to at the right-hand side that can play two at center back. Arteta, more time passes, Arteta needs to win a trophy in my eyes. So I think this is the last season. I think this is the last season of Arsenal that is acceptable towards not getting a title at the end of the season with Arteta. I think next season, with a world-class striker, with 4 years for sure have passed, they'll be the 5th year next year, there should be demands about getting a title for Arsenal, in my view. And there was no Connor Bradley. Rest in peace for his grandfather. That was the reasoning why Connor Bradley didn't play after a phenomenal game against Chelsea. What a game in which he had 1 goal and 2 assists. Play your kids, people.
Play your kids. Yeah, play your kids. I mean, this week alone, especially in the Premier League, this week alone should prove to you that you got to give these guys a chance. Whether it's Jack Hinchelwood playing for Brighton, has played 3 positions this season, has 1,000 minutes, and has 3 very key goals for Brighton. Then you've got Connor Bradley coming in, and he was arguably the man of the match in 2 of the last 3 games with 2 assists, looking right at home. And it's obviously very sad about the untimely passing of his dad, but you see the future for Bradley. Then you've got Kabi Mainu. I mean, come on. what he did midweek to break Wolves' hearts. It's just beautiful, beautiful stuff. And it's something I just want to see more. Trust that academy, especially like Chelsea. I like that you're giving Alfie Gilchrist a couple minutes here and there, but yeah, you've got one of the best academies on the planet. I don't think that that's hyperbole. You've got one of the best academies
Liverpool.
on the planet with like Alfie Gilchrist with Chelsea. I'm just talking,
Yes.
pure academy players coming through here. Between Hinchelwood, Mainu, Bradley, Gilchrist. I mean, there's probably a few more that I'm missing right now. It was a good week for youth academy graduates long term. But you know who else, Alex, in the Premier League this week? It was good for. It was good for Brazilian strikers. Brazilian strikers. Because while we talked about Chelsea and Poch out, we did not talk about Mateus Cunha.
True.
And how at one point, still at only 24 years old, for the amount of money that Wolves spent on him at one point, he was getting a lot of flack last season. And there's also another Brazilian striker. Another Brazilian striker in Richarlison that understandably, I mean, he got a lot of flack, but also he got deadpanned on a podcast by Callum Wilson alone. And who is getting the last laugh now between Richarlison, between Mateus Cunha? You've got Richarlison. He's got 10 goals, 3 assists in the Premier League this season. 9 of those goals came in the last 8 games. 9 of those goals. 2 against his former club as well in that wonderful game that we just saw at Goodison. And then Mateus Cunha, 6 goals, 4 assists in their last games, and he becomes the first player ever in Wolves history to score an away hat trick.
What?
Away hat trick.
First?
And he's also only one of 4 to do it away at Stamford Bridge. One of 4. You want to know the others?
Why do I feel like Diogo Jota did that?
No. Well, no. Yeah, he's not in there. It's Kanu, I think, for Arsenal, Van Persie for Arsenal, and Sergio Aguero for Manchester City were the other 3 that have an away hat trick, obviously, at Stamford Bridge in the Premier League. Mateus Cunha is now the 4th, and I like these types of
That's a
what's
good
the
stat.
word? Yeah, well, I like these types of not revenge.
Comebacks.
What's the word?
Comebacks.
They're a comeback. Yeah, comeback stories. I mean, that these guys were Richarlison. We know at one point he has been the best Brazilian striker, right? Mateus Cunha has not had that type of form. Even when he was at Atleti, even when he was at Leipzig, it never, ever came for him. I think all the way back to Hoffenheim is probably the last time he has had a real good run of form. Mateus Cunha is in it. Richarlison is in it. And all of a sudden, Copa America is going to be very interesting for Brazilian strikers.
I still don't know. Even though you say Richarlison and Mateus Cunha are in excellent form, they still have Marcos Leonardo balling out. No, getting more minutes for Benfica. Richarlison and Mateus Cunha are playing good, but you have Marcos Leonardo doing well at Benfica. Artur Cabral doing well at Benfica too. Hendrik and Vitor Roque too to all go against Mateus Cunha and Richarlison. That's a bold statement. But since you're mentioning Wolves, I want to mention the best player of Wolves is not Mateus Cunha, Breton. It's Pedro Neto. Pedro Neto, if he's fully fit, he's one of the best wingers in the world. And I'm not saying under 25. I literally mean with the pace, with the one-on-one skill he's got, with the energy that he has. I don't fully expect. I pray to see Pedro Neto in Euro 2024 without injuries and playing consistently until then. I mean it. Pedro Neto and Michael Olise, for me, are the best players outside the top 6 in the Premier League. I would be shook if I see these 2 players not in another Premier League team next season, especially Olise, because he doesn't have this injury crisis that Pedro Neto, unfortunately, has been having during his time at Wolves. But extraordinary player.
It's true. And even after missing all those games, I believe was that his 10th assist that he had, or did they not count it?
8 assists in the Prem.
Okay. All right. So he's getting back up there.
Neto,
but yeah,
2
it's great.
goals, 8 assists in 14 Premier League starts. Like, that's unreal considering the fact that he doesn't play a lot. Like 8 assists.
And one more stat for you, because it wouldn't have happened without Mateus Cunha and Pedro Neto on the field. I believe that was the first time in almost 50 years that Wolves have beaten Chelsea both home and away in a Premier League season.
Home and away.
50 years.
That shows.
50 years.
Pochettino, you must go. You must go.
Yeah.
Stats like that cannot happen.
Well, that alone, I mean, Pochettino has conceded now for the second time this season. He's conceded 4 goals in back-to-back games. That alone, I don't even know when that goes back to, what stat, how far that goes back to in Chelsea history. But you're talking about 2 stretches of back-to-back 4. And Xavi stepped down after 2 games with 4 and 5 conceded, or 4 and 3 conceded. You know what I mean? So, I mean, just based on statistics alone, Todd Bowley's got to be fuming, 1, and 2, he's getting ready to make another bad decision.
Well,
right?
Well said. And since we were mentioning Wolves, now we should mention, I think, a bit of Tottenham. Because, yes, I know Richarlison, those 9 goals in 8 games is pretty ridiculous. But the main variable in which makes me think that Tottenham will win a trophy in the next 2 years is Ange Postecoglou. The mentality of this team, the positivity in this team is through the roof compared to past seasons. And imagine. Imagine you would tell a Tottenham fan that they would be having a season that they would be 5th and they would playing attractive football when Harry Kane has left. People would say you would be mad. And Mickey van de Ven, James Maddison, Vicario, all positive transfers done by Ange Postecoglou. This is a new era of Tottenham, in my view, and it's all about the mentality. The mentality of Ange Postecoglou is the reason why Richarlison's having his best form. Pape Matar was in his best form. Destiny Udogie is having a great start in the Prem with Ange Postecoglou. And even a Pedro Porro that we had a commentator, Reknap, the son of Harry Reknap, saying that Porro is one of the worst transfers in Tottenham history. Blasphemous.
No.
Blasphemous.
Yeah.
And now you see Udogie and Porro, one of the best fullbacks duos in the Premier League, at least right now. So it's just very positive. Mickey van de Ven and Cuti Romero is the best duo I've seen at Tottenham in terms of center backs since Alderweireld and Vertonghen. No doubt in my mind. And Lloris, I know Vicario. It's a big, heavy name that he's got to replace. And Vicario's doing a really good job replacing that big name of Hugo Lloris. Tottenham legend.
Yeah, but everything you said there is spot on. Whether it's vibes, whatever you want to call it, it feels cohesive. It feels ready. And remember, they're doing this resurgence in form without Son, who is in the semifinals of the Asian Cup, hopefully going for a win if Jurgen Klinsmann doesn't muck it up. But listen, I'm most impressed with the intent in the transfer window that they've gotten, because all those names that you just mentioned are younger names, right, than what we have kind of seen in a Spurs jersey in the past. So between Van de Ven, who's 22, Brennan Johnson, 22, Sarr, 21, Udogie, 21, Radu Dragusin, who picked Spurs over quite a few other teams, one including Bayern Munich, Alejo Veliz, who just went on loan to Sevilla, Lucas Bergvall, who they just took. Essentially, they hijacked the deal, not for more money necessarily, but they hijacked the deal from Barcelona.
Convinced with the project. The project.
Yeah, exactly.
Mad.
And then you've got a youth academy that I think is mildly underrated and underutilized. So it's nice to see. Even Big Ange has handed, I believe he handed his debut to Jamie Donnelly, who's a striker. They've got way down there Mikey Moore, who's 16 years old, who's killing the U18 Premier League. You've got Alfie Devine, Tyrese Hall, I think is his name, who's been very good. So they have the makings, Alex, of continuity. And I am very surprised that this far after Harry Kane has left, that they're this stable. Well, I really am. And you like to see it.
Well,
you really
let me
do like
ask you
to see
this, because it's a bridge to do Man United, but I want to ask you this.
Sure.
Right now, Tottenham are 6 points ahead of Man United. Do you think Tottenham will be finishing ahead of Man United at the end of the season?
I do.
I'm starting to get the feeling, maybe no. This Hoyland, this Kobe Maino,
Oh, I know.
this
I
Garnacho,
know.
it's not just the
I
photo.
know.
It's the way they play. Unreal. Finally, we see the Rasmus Winter Hoyland getting the respect, and the way he plays is finally what we were expecting. Right now,
Oh.
Rasmus Winter Hoyland is the youngest player ever in Man United history to score four consecutive Premier League games. The youngest, the movement, the understanding, it's there right now. And I just want to say this sentence. Feed the beast. Feed Rasmus Winter Hoyland. It's not Anthony Martial anymore. Cristiano Ronaldo, you had to feed him better. But now you have Hoyland, feed him the best way you can. And with a Garnacho in the right wing, Garnacho is the right winger that Man United should have started since the start. Not an Anthony for 100 million. Omar Berrada is for sure overseeing everything that's happening. And I can guarantee you, I know 97-minute Kobe Maino scores his first Premier League game. Hoorah, hoorah, big celebrations, big moment. But Omar Berrada, if he's judging things how it should be judged, defensively, they shouldn't be suffering 3 goals, Man United. It's embarrassing.
No.
And there's still a defensive crisis right there. Onana isn't looking too secure. Maguire even had a mistake or two. Varane's not looking the Varane that we saw in the past. People have question marks. Still, even though they have these two great wins, you should have question marks with Eddie Ten Hag's continuity long term. Because I've learned one thing in football. New boss, new rules. New rules, changes. Sometimes the managers change. Sometimes no. Majority of times the manager changes. So don't be shocked if that happens with Sir Jim Ratcliffe's effect in charge now at Man United.
Yeah, well, Alex, you mentioned that defense. Lisandro Martinez, obviously that leg, we're hoping for the best because the transfer window is done. And Lisandro Martinez is injured, and I think quote unquote on X it says it does not look good. Right, if I have to summarize what people are saying currently, but yeah, I mean Rasmus Winter Hoyland coming into his own, absolutely wonderful to see. But I gotta say, Casemiro, his determination in that first goal, is the reason why Hoyland even got that choice. And Garnacho, I'm not here to pour like cold water on this resurgence and these last 2 games, which have been arguably probably the best 2 games in back to back in Manchester United's season so far, in terms of outcome, not necessarily actual gameplay. But Alejandro Garnacho, the only issue I have right now is continuity. It's consistency with him. I mean, 4 of his 5 Premier League goals came in 2 games. Okay. I mean, for a 19-year-old winger, I'm not here to say like, no, obviously he's special, but you need him to be special weak. You need him to be Rashford at his best, right? Rashford when he was just dominant for that 13 or 14 game stretch, and we will not see that just yet with Garnacho. And I just don't see long-term, Alex, Garnacho being great or his best under Ten Hag's reign. I just don't see it happening.
So that's a big question mark with Ten Hag, because in Ten Hag's mind, the right winger in 2 years would have been Anthony, not Garnacho. And Garnacho made it happen. I completely agree. But I disagree, though, that I think Garnacho is special. You said it, but I think Garnacho, now's the time. Why do I say now's the time with Garnacho? Okay. Garnacho's decision-making is much better right now. I don't know what happened in New Year's Eve. I don't know if this is a New Year resolution, but one thing's changed. His decision-making and efficiency and involvement. He's much more involved with the team. Garnacho and Hoyland try to find each other a lot more, and even switching wings. You see Garnacho feeling a lot free to be doing involvement with Rashford. You wouldn't see them both on the same wing too much last season. But yes, Kobe Maino, Rasmus Winter Hoyland, Garnacho, they're the present and the future of Man United. And that's what needs to be the guarantee of Man United fans. They have to start week in, week in. No, it has to be regardless of anything. And that's why Ten Hag That's his savior right now, Kobe Maino. And I'm excited for England fans because England's future with Kobe Maino, with Jude Bellingham, with Declan Rice, Jordan Henderson. I'm sorry, mate. You might be very reputational on that squad, but Kobe Maino, I think, is here to stay. This kid is the real deal, and he's the starter of Man United from now on, guaranteed. Guaranteed. He doesn't leave.
I think so. And if it's a high bar to set for the rest of the academy boys. I just wish for United's sake they had some defensive young bucks coming through that they could count on. In the same way that they are going to lean on Kobe Mainu. And that's the thing is we have to remember there have been a couple howlers that Mainu has done in terms of getting dispossessed and all that. You got to remember this kid is young. He's not a world beater just yet, but he does need to play, and he does play the right way. Heart on his sleeve, right? You see it. Also good to see Omari Forson get his first Premier League minutes. He's somebody that has been killing it in the youth ranks for United for like a long time. So good to see him get his first minutes. I think he even got the assist on that Kobe Mainu goal in that crazy game at the Molineux. But you're right. I mean, the big story with United and whether or not they get Champions League or get European ball is going to be defense from here on out. And that's a big deal.
And you say it's the big deal. It's because Anthony's been spent 100 million, and they could have spent it on defenders, and they had Garnacho from the start there. So it's the management, it's the structure, it's the salaries, it's the transfers, it's everything that Omar Berrada needs to change. But let us know what did we miss in the Premier League. Let us know down below in the comments and what you agree and what you disagree. Like this video, people.
Yes.
But another league that we have to mention. 2 points separates Bayer Leverkusen and Bayern Munich. And Xabi Alonso ball is the main reason that is happening. Xabi Alonso ball with Bayer Leverkusen this season, 29 games, 25 wins, 4 draws. And one of those draws was against Bayern Munich. I believe it will be 30 games unbeaten, and they will not lose against Bayern Munich next weekend. Thomas Tuchel versus Xabi Alonso. Xabi Alonso will show, even though he's got mad injuries, well, Bayern Munich has mad injuries too, but Leverkusen, I think, has more detrimental injuries than Bayern Munich, but I still believe they will win this game. Come on. Yeah. Come on.
I'd like to. I just feel like the script is tightening once again. You've got the Manchester City getting the favorable result from Liverpool, or from Arsenal beating Liverpool at home, and I just feel like it's going to happen again in the Bundesliga. And I want to be wrong, Alex. I do. I want to be wrong. Nothing against Bayern Munich, who I think was one of the smarter winter transfer window participants out of any other team out there. Maybe even next to, like Spurs. But yeah, you said it. Leverkusen, 20 games, 16 wins, 4 draws, 52 goals scored, only 14 conceded. There's even with Victor Boniface out.
Shaka.
Even with
Hoffman.
And they got 2 goals against Darmstadt. They got 2 goals from somebody that was a want away from the championship. Somebody that was leaving the sinking ship of Southampton. Nathan Tella, 24 years old, kind of played, I think, wing back on the day, and excelled in that role. And it's great to see the system working for more people, right? Instead of just the Grimaldos, you've got Nathan Tella scoring those 2 goals and getting the job done. And we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I want you to be right. I want Bayer Leverkusen to at least hold Bayern to a draw or beat them. And Bayern, you mentioned it. They have issues of their own. Upamecano is out. They got Eric Dyer. Alphonso Davies might be out a little while. He has an MCL sprain. That's not good. They're going to have to replace him. But guess what? They've got Pavlovic in the middle of the field who has played phenomenally well and has scored in his last 2 games. And you've got who's the right back that has come in for them?
Sasha
Boy. Very well.
Sasha Boy.
Yeah. Oh, well, yes. Sasha Boy.
30 million. A bit of Frankie Very vibes.
Really, really smart stuff.
And you're mentioning Bayern right now. I want to say congratulations. Thomas Muller has played 500 500 competitive matches. This man is the reason of all those Bundesligas in a row. He's a leader, he's a reference, and the way he sees the game, is absolutely underrated in my eyes. Genius. It's De Bruyne levels genius. It's Thomas Muller level genius. One of the catalysts of this good form every time to win the Champions League. What an amazing journey it's been. But you said it, Breton. And I want to give you a question too. Harry Kane has 27 games, 28 goals, 8 assists with Bayern Munich. It's been a mad one. It's been simply a mad one. The best striker in the world right now. But I wanted to ask you, Harry Kane is 17 goals away of breaking Lewandowski's record in the Bundesliga. In the next 14 games, do you think he's going to break that record?
I earlier this season I would have said yes. Right now it
just
doesn't
2
feel
goals
like
a game. It's just 2 goals a game.
It is. It's just a casual 2 goals a game. Well, if you're taking out the fact that he's not going to score against Leverkusen, it's how many games after that? So that's 1 less game. So he's got to get 17 and 13 games?
Yes.
It's still very doable.
Harry Kane, in order to beat Lewandowski's record in the Bundesliga, he's got to score 17 goals in the next 14 games. I think it's going to happen. I think it's going to happen,
very
Breton,
doable.
because Harry Kane is in the chase of becoming the best English striker ever. And right now, that is with Alan Shearer. And I think if he manages to be the best striker when he leaves the Premier, well, that was Haaland. But if he manages to have a successful run in the Champions League, I don't know. I think it's moving more towards a legacy here and breaking that record of Lewandowski. But you mentioned this name briefly. Alexander Pavlovich. Alexander Pavlovich, for me, is going to Euro 2024. This Germany team needs players like this. Players that want to inspire, want to make a difference. And you feel it in this midfield. It wasn't Kimmich. It was Goretzka and Pavlovich. I would start this player until the end of the season. Tuchel, trust him. The confidence he has on the ball, I was mesmerized. I knew him watching him in the youth league, watching him in the Bayern youth, but I didn't know he was this good, honestly. So, Musiala, Pavlovich, 19. Mad. It's 19. Mad. He must start every game.
And the crazy part here is that they've been doing a lot of this season and keeping pace with a historic performance from Leverkusen, largely without some of their biggest players. And getting this type of output in the 9 games I think he's played so far this season from Pavlovich, 2 goals, 2 assists at 19. I mean, it's a testament to the actual structure that Bayern does have and the depth that they've got. I mean, if something happens to Kane, Matthijs Tel is going to step up as he's done as a super sub, and he's going to finally get his moment in the sun. Now, fullback is where you get a little interesting. Who's Alphonso Davies' backup, and will he be as functional? It's just kind of heartbreaking to see Alphonso Davies he's had a tough last few years with illness, with injuries, with all sorts of stuff. So I'm with you. Pavlovich is a name you've got to watch, and I bet you Serbia is watching him, hoping that Germany mismanages it so they can go in and get that one-time switch, but I don't think he's going anywhere.
He's going to the Euros, Breton. I see it. And another thing too, congratulations, big kudos to Thomas Tuchel. I don't think Julian Nagelsmann would have bet on Pavlovich like Tuchel has. Because in order to do that, you need to surpass a Kimmich. You need to surpass a Leimer. You need to surpass players that they're starters and they're references. So the fact that you're betting on a kid like this is big respect towards Tuchel. But let us know down below, who do you believe is going to win this game in the Bundesliga? Bayer Leverkusen or Bayern Munich? And are you with this hope like me that Xabi Alonso is going to win the Bundesliga? Let us know in the comments section. But yes, hope. Alphonso Davies, you're mentioning Alphonso Davies. And I'm thinking in the back of my head, Alphonso Davies, is he really going to Real Madrid, Breton?
If not him, we know there is somebody waiting in the wings. But yeah, I feel like Alphonso Davies is going to want to take that next step. So I am going to say yes, depending on how serious his injuries are and how back to back they get. Alphonso Davies will go to Real Madrid. It makes sense.
It makes too much sense. I agree with you. But I want to give a thumbs up to Fran Garcia too. But yes, transfers is now in full case. It's ended. The deadline day has happened. January has finished. But I'm going to say it. It's been a weak January transfer window. Compared to past ones, Enzo in the last day. Compared to a Luis Diaz, a shocking move. Compared to, I don't know, past transfer windows. It hasn't been the same vibe. But yes, you said it. ESPN yesterday gave the big news. The bomb that everybody's expecting. Kylian Mbappe, rumoredly by ESPN, is going to be joining Real Madrid. And as we said in the past podcast, who's going to replace Kylian Mbappe, or who PSG wants to replace Kylian Mbappe? It's Rafael Leao. It's just too obvious. You got to listen to FC Wonderkid podcast.
Well, but Kylian Mbappe, if this happens, you've now got Kylian Mbappe as the old guy in a Real Madrid lineup that still needs, defensive center back help. Although I understand who's coming back, but Kylian Mbappe as the old guy. You've got Jude Bellingham, you've got Vinicius Jr., you've got Rodrigo, you've got Tchouaméni, you've got Eduardo Camavinga, you've got Fran Garcia, you've got Arda Güler, who hasn't really played too much just yet. There is so much dynastic potential here that it's scary. It's scary, Alex. Kylian Mbappe, oh my gosh, just added to that.
It's kudos to Real Madrid.
It's insane.
Real Madrid makes the decision of Kylian Mbappe going to Real Madrid obvious, because right now at Real Madrid, you have Vinicius Jr., Jude Bellingham, Brahim Diaz, Camavinga, Valverde, captain of Uruguay. They sign him for $5 million. And then you have a Tchouaméni replacing Casemiro, Arda Güler, Hendrik coming next season, and Rodrigo Goes. Rodrigo Goes too. That's Rodrigo and Vini cost less than 50 million. Look how much it cost Barca to get Rafinha, a worst winger. They developed Real Madrid, and they deserve respect towards doing that. The decision is obvious, Kylian Mbappe. You have to half your salary, because that's what you're going to get with Real Madrid. Greatness and success. It's Kylian Mbappe, undoubtedly, it's factus that he's the best player in his generation. Definitely the best player born in 98. And I think any generation close to that one, he's better player. He's better than Haaland. Cut it out in terms of talents. Kylian Mbappe offers more to a team than Erling Haaland. He's more limited as a striker. But at left wing, if Kylian Mbappe goes to Real Madrid, it's at least 2 Ballon d'Ors in the next 5 years. Those are my expectations, because he's consistently a favorite to win Super League, Champions League, whatever league with Kylian Mbappe at Real Madrid. They're favorites. And Euros, everything. Even the impact of France. Like, I say a lot this in the podcast. A strong Barca team is a strong Spanish national team. A strong Real Madrid team is a strong Brazilian team, a strong France team, a strong any team. Because you have Vini, Rodrigo, Hendrik, and then with France, you got Camavinga, Tchouaméni, Mbappe. You got references that are being created. Galacticos being created. Yeah. So it's the difference between
and they're, I mean, hey, Todd Bowley, this is how you spend money and how you get younger in the same sentence, right? And they're doing it, and obviously a lot of it is years and years of being a legendary brand as well. I mean, the fact that Kylian Mbappe, who has already lifted a World Cup, can basically say, this is where I need to go, and I need to take this haircut in order to do it. I mean, Barca has that type of clout too, but Barca right now is riding into the ground players because of their financial situation. They're riding Lamine Yamal, right? Into the ground, in my opinion. They rode Pedri, Gavi, 2 insanely ridiculous talents who no doubt will be back to their best very, very soon, but they're riding them into the ground at a necessity. And you could argue La Fabrica, you could argue Real Madrid should give more opportunities to their younger players coming through, but they have this conveyor belt of just well done expenditure.
It's true.
You know,
It's
expenditure. And I'm just incredibly impressed because the average age, even if you put the old man Mbappe in there, of this youthful core is like 22, right? I mean, Bellingham's 20 still. It's insane.
True.
So I'm with you. So you
Bellingham?
think 2 Ballon d'Ors in the next 5 years, or Kylian Mbappe is a bust at Real Madrid?
I think he at least needs to get 1 Ballon d'Or to be considered the best player in the world, because those are the demands that Kylian Mbappe is going to have with Real Madrid. The demands that a Cristiano Ronaldo would have. The demands a Karim Benzema would have. But more a Ronaldo. I think if Mbappe goes to Real Madrid, the only player he can be compared to is Cristiano Ronaldo in terms of expectations. But the truth is, Ronaldo, when he goes to Real Madrid, he won a Ballon d'Or with Man United in the Champions League. Kylian Mbappe, when he goes to Real Madrid, he doesn't go with the Champions League one. Yes, he won. He did win that World Cup with an extraordinary French national team. Prime Pogba, Griezmann going bold, but there's still question marks if he can be the main man at club level towards winning a Champions League. We've seen it in international football. I strongly believe Kylian Mbappe in international football is the best player in the world with what he does for France. He's the captain of that team, and he's played more than 70 games for this national team. But for club level, that cannot be what is said. And Vinicius Junior, I don't know who starts at left wing. Maybe Kylian Mbappe starts as striker for one season, but long term, I do not believe that Kylian Mbappe will be starting as striker for Real Madrid. So even there, it will be interesting to see how they move. How they move, Breton. But I wanted to mention, since we're mentioning Real Madrid, just briefly, Vitor Roque, 2 goals. Vitor Roque, 2 goals in 133 minutes. He arrives in January.
And a red card.
And a red card to go to Carnaval. No, he's not going. He's going to train. He's going to understand much more than movement. But it's just funny to me that happened. But the truth is, he's having a good impact.
It was a soft red card.
Yeah, it was a weird one. I wouldn't have given a red to that. I wouldn't have given a red to that. But you said it. Lamine Yamal is the best right winger at Barca right now. Lamine Yamal
He's phenomenal.
Is no doubt in my
16.
mind the best under 18 dribbler in the world right now playing football. The best, okay? The way he plays, the confidence he has. And right now, Lamine Yamal and Vitor Roque, that's what Barca needs to bet on for the future. Those 2 players.
And that in and of itself just makes me sad because I just see Pedri and Gavi in him in the future, and I'm worried. And even Alejandro Balde, who's now out for a long period of time. And I understand that is
you're worried about the amount of minutes accumulated of Lamine Yamal.
Exactly. On a 16-and-a-half-year-old's body. Absolutely. That's what I'm worried about. Call it the dad in me. I look at it and I go, there's no doubting his talent. There's no doubting how much of a game changer and how ridiculously bright his future is. The only thing that's going to hurt him is starting too soon.
True.
This is not a situation of, if you're good enough, you're old enough, or you're old enough, you're good enough, whatever it is. That's saying this is not that situation. It's just he's already put 1,000+ minutes on his body, and I don't see it. I don't see that stopping.
Well,
anytime soon. And we've seen.
Well, Lamine Yamal, in the last 4 games for Barca, I think he's got more than 300 minutes played. More than 300 minutes. So La Masia with Xavi, that's the identity that he's building. Gavi, a Pedri that came from Las Palmas for 5 million, but it's been vital. And a Pau Cubarsí that's been growingly, playing with Xavi. So, it's a new era. And Gundogan, 1 goal and an assist. That was quite a leader moment he had there. But Lewandowski, 14 goals in his last 31 games. Unfortunately, I expect this to be Lewandowski's last season at Barca. This summer, I think Barca are going to be selling him. They need the funds, and I think Vitor Roque needs the confidence boost to be the main man, and I think that's going to be the case. Which is going to be it's a risky one. It's a risky one.
Well, Lewandowski, go to Serie A, where aging strikers have field days, like Olivier Giroud with 11 goals, 8 assists.
League, Breton. I think Lewandowski's going to the Saudi Pro League. I'd be surprised if he doesn't.
We'll never see him again.
Look at Mitrovic, though. We're seeing him big time. And I think
Sure.
as a European, I
Well,
think I'm going to be seeing Mitrovic in the Euros. I'm quite scared of that.
could be. Yeah, yeah. And wait, do we ever get clarity on Milinkovic-Savic and whether or not he's actually
No, he's
lobbying to come back?
He's staying. I
He
spoke
is
to
staying.
Bruno Andrade over the week, a reporter
Nice.
with very good ties with the Saudi League. And I asked him about Jota, Sergej Milinkovic-Savic, and Benzema leaving the Saudi Pro League. He guaranteed me that in January that wouldn't be the case. And as we see, that hasn't been the case. But it's
Not yet.
worrying signs.
Yes.
Only Henderson, but it's worrying signs until now in terms of transfers.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's looking interesting.
Well, yes, yeah. But hey, if we're going to talk about Barca quickly, Real Madrid quickly, we got to talk about Girona. 52 goals scored, Alex. We were talking about the high-powered financial engine and the expenditure of Real Madrid. We are, and that is a fact and will be for the foreseeable future because of the brand. And it's not Real Madrid that is leading La Liga in goals scored right now. In fact, it is Girona. And I must say to you that they were able to, if you go back and you look at their transfer windows, yes, you can talk about City Football Group, you can talk about, being monetarily backed. Well, if they're monetarily backed, they're spending paltry sums compared to other teams. That is 25 million spent, with 8 million of that, roughly, what is that? Roughly 1/3 of that on one player, Artem Dovbek, who happens to be their leading scorer. But 25 million is what it took to assemble essentially their whole front seven, right? And that is just impressive. Now, whether or not it can consistently be done, because there are question marks in the future about does Savio stay? How do they get him in permanently without breaking the bank? But it is so impressive what they've done. There's 52 goals scored, and they are a stone's throw from leading this thing. And they just need, I don't know, somebody to do something to Real Madrid to knock them off their perch. But it's not going to happen. Whoa. So, just wanted to bring that up because what they've gotten out of what they've spent, Girona deserves a whole lot more attention. Some of the best guys came in on free, and they are 7th in La Liga in shots per game, and they are also 2nd in La Liga in big chances missed. So if you don't think that this can get better for them in the future, it absolutely can if they can minimize some things and do a little bit better in terms of in front of the goal. So I just got to bring it up because they continue to win, and they continue to win in pretty electrifying fashion. No, I still want to make a pilgrimage to Montalivi. Are you going with me?
I'd love to. It's close to Barca, Girona, so the proximity. It's so interesting to see that they're the ones succeeding and not Barca. Great. It's quite mad one. And free transfers that you're mentioning, Eric Garcia, Daley Blind.
Yes.
Quite shocking that those ones were so good as they're being. But Jan Couto I really like, and Savio. Savio is one of the best young wingers in the world right now. For what he's doing at Girona, I think he's going to the Premier League next season. I'd be shocked if a Premier League team is not going to be grabbing a player like this. City Group included. Come on.
I was going to say.
Doku on one end, Savio on the other.
Yeah, that's pretty nice. The only thing I'd be worried about, I guess, is, I don't know, his ability to withstand 38 games in the Premier League. But I don't think he'd be starting right away. Exactly. I don't think he'd be starting right away. But La Liga is perfect for him. So I'd be surprised if he doesn't stick around at Girona, considering that there is that connection. But yeah, I mean, come on, you got the Ukrainian connection too between Saigonkov and Dovbik. It's just an easy team to root for right now. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
And you're mentioning great transfers done. I gotta say, in La Liga too, I was shocked with this under-23 transfer. We mentioned it in the last podcast, but the fact that Artur Vermaelen went to this Atletico de Madrid team, no doubt in my mind, I would put him in my best under-23 11 of winter transfers. Do you agree with me, Bresson?
Yes. I do agree with you. I think it was one of the only real shock transfer grabs of all of January. I mean, that one kind of came out of left field.
That's one shocking for me Well, shocking for me too is Girona to Nottingham Forest. That was shocking for me too. But Luis Enrique being the highest transfer ever in Brasileirão history, for me is shocking. Yep. John Textor getting that done for 20 million of Real Betis to Botafogo. I don't know if that's the move, because you see in Portugal 20 million, that's Gyökeres.
Yep.
I don't have the same expectations with Luis Enrique. Sorry.
Well, yeah. Well, the crazier thing about the Vermeeren, right, for me is that was probably the only major entry to La Liga in this winter window. And it's a testament to the fact that it has been a sleepier January than last year. And that's because guess who decided to sit out the transfer window? Todd Bowley and Chelsea, and also, the big ones in Real Madrid and Barcelona. They did not partake per se. So I think the difference in the Premier League, I know $1 billion roughly was spent in January last season, and roughly under that, like 90 million, 100 million was spent in this January. So it's like 1/10 of the size of the amount of deals that we saw in January of last year.
I just want to say what you're saying. So it made me have a realization. Barca, this season in transfers, okay? I'm not saying free transfers because they're very expensive if you don't know. Gundogan doesn't come cheap. But in transfer fees, they spend 5 million. Because summer, it was Oriol Romeu, the only transfer fee. Then you have in January, no one, because Lucas Bergvall prefers to go to Tottenham than Barca. Only 5 million spent. That shows the problem, the money problem that's been happening in La Liga. Like, that's more than showing. Unreal.
Yep, still going on.
No, Vitor Roque. I'm capping. But sorry, Vitor Roque. But I'm capping Vitor Roque.
Yes, but that was already on the books. That was just kind of processed. It wasn't necessarily. Yeah, but no, I'm with you. But a lot of the clubs, just the financial might of the Premier League is very apparent. We say this quite often because a lot of the not clubs, the other leagues also sat out for the most part. Yeah, the Bundesliga, I guess, was mildly active, but my goodness, the amount of quality, the Portuguese league, the amount of quality loans that have been happening, you've seen it. I think this is a post-COVID type of a situation where I want a loan before I buy type of sitch. That's going to continue. I think you're going to see that become more the norm than it already is from here on out, and that's why.
Carlos Alcaraz to Juve. I like that move too, and it's like you're saying, it's a loan first, then a buy option. It's 30 million, I think, right?
Yep. Yeah.
And Rodrigo Ribeiro, and that it was Girona, shockingly going to Nottingham Forest, and Rodrigo Ribeiro, he's a talented striker, but I'd compare a bit with Youssef Chermiti going to Everton. Don't have the expectations of Gyökeres, okay? Going to Nottingham Forest, but good potential. Good potential.
Do they both have the same agent?
Jorge Mendes, yes. Both Girona and Rodrigo Ribeiro have the same agent.
Wow.
I think.
Well, yeah, no, I know. Well, it was a big deal when Reina announced that he left. The largest American agent to join, George Mensch. And that's why I would have liked to see him wind up in Sevilla. Because I feel like there he could have played right away. And then Sevilla ended up going with Alejo Veliz, although they don't exactly play the same position.
Defensive
but they signed Mejri too. Yeah, it was a younger team and somebody that they needed, kind of like Valencia. Well, they need life. They need to breathe life into Sevilla again. 2 years in a row that they've flirted with relegation before kind of spiking up the table near the end. It needs to stop. But Gio Reyna would have done phenomenally there. But whatever. As long as we see Gio Reyna play, as long as we see Rodrigo Ribeiro play.
Will we see Gio Reyna play at Nottingham Forest, Breton?
Like that's Anthony the thing. It's a flippin' question mark, and I don't know why. Why, when you know that you're not getting the time at Dortmund, why your next step would have that question mark next to it. I don't know why. I wish Gio Reyna would just say, no, I need to go somewhere that I need to play right now.
Maybe he does think that with Nottingham Forest. Maybe he thinks he plays right now in this Nottingham Forest team.
I don't see where. I mean, Morgan Gibbs White, they spent 50 million on him, 40 million on him. You're going to just kick him out?
No.
I don't see him starting anytime soon. They don't have Europe. They don't have, Dortmund. At least he could get 20 minutes in the Champions League versus getting 20 minutes against.
But I remember
whatever,
speaking to
Luton
you,
Town.
and Girona's potential was to be the best U.S. men's national team player. Pulisic, I know, now made the right move to go to AC Milan. Nottingham Forest could be the right move for Girona. It's been good for Matt Turner.
Not really. Not really. It is not. No. Matt Turner had a good month or two, but they just brought in Matt Sells, and Matt Turner is back on the bench. And Vlachodimos, I guess, was sent out to pasture. He's now their third. Matt Turner. No, we have a goalkeeper.
Third keeper.
He's the third keeper there.
And
we got to also remember,
and there's still
Forest
Benfica fans that defend Vlachodimos instead of Trubin. Blasphemous.
Yeah, that's crap. It is. And we got to remember Forest is also under investigation as well, because they've signed 50 players, 50-some players over the last 3 windows. It's been absolutely insane. Some who came in and left before ever playing for the club, like a Gustavo Scarpa. Right? Remember that name?
I like
Where the hell did he go?
Mina.
Yeah, he was phenomenal in the Brasileirão.
With Scolari.
And I thought that was going to work out. You've got Danilo, who I think for Palmeiras was great. I think he's been okay at times for them.
Center back.
But he's been in and out of the 11. I mean, we can go through a transfer list of players that have not worked out for Nottingham Forest, and they're still on the books there.
Yeah,
still on the books
in
there.
the Premier League.
It's crazy.
Let's see.
I don't know, man.
Let's see how it's gonna go for them. But Bretson, just a quick lineup here. Can you tell us your best under 23 winter transfers this window?
Yeah, I can do it very quickly. I've got no loans in this, and I might on the right back side of things. Sasha Bowie, is he still 23?
Yeah, I think he is. Yes, I've got Sasha Bowie.
Okay, good. Because for today, we're going to count him as 23 if for some reason he's not. So my best 11 of the transfer window, U23, we had to cheat. I had to say 25-year-old Lucas Perry, or I think he's 25, for Lyon, the Texter Express. Lyon getting Adrielson and Lucas Perry, but he has yet to take over for Anthony Lopez. So we'll see if that happens. So let's forget the goalkeeper for right now.
Yeah, let's goalkeeper, best 11 of under 23.
No goalkeeper, best 10, basically. Left back, Valentin Barco for Brighton. Can't wait till he gets on the pitch. Colo Barco is going to light up the Premier League, much like we are seeing a lot of these Brighton signings, and those that still have time to marinate. My center backs are weird ones. One I don't really know, in Otavio to Porto, but I am very intrigued by that signing. And Radu Dragusin for Tottenham, mainly because Tottenham, I think, is the winner in the spirit, in the vibes that are being sent off.
Someone, Breton, on Brazilian.
Who am I sleeping on?
I think you're sleeping on Lucas Beraldo. I think Lucas Beraldo is a Brazilian national team signing in present and future of PSG in Brazil. I was shocked with the fact that Lucas Beraldo went for 20 million. Leaves São Paulo, one of the best young center backs I've seen in Brasileirão in the last 2 years. Leaves for 20 million to Paris Saint-Germain. It's disrespected to the Brazilian league. And then you have 20 million, biggest signing ever, Luis Henrique. Mad. What a signing.
Well, I'll be honest, I forgot him. I just forgot. Just straight forgot. So mea culpa there.
I like Jack.
And Thiago Jalot for cheap.
3.5,
and I'm looking Sasha Bowie on the right side for me. But in midfield, this is where it's fun. I do have a PSG signing here, even though we're not going to see him because he's back in the Brasileirão. But we've got Arthur Vermeeren for Atleti. And we've got Gabriel Mascardo for PSG, though we won't see him in the near future. And then at Cam, I've got Claudio Echeverri at Manchester City. But I love some of these signings that came through. Tommaso Baldanzi, completely underrated signing for AS Roma. I think that's a good signing.
He's in my team. Left-footed. What a player that AS Roma have signed with Daniel De Rossi. Baldanzi, Miretti, Tonali, the future of Italy, is starting to show in full force. Empoli, right?
Good stuff.
10 million.
Yep.
What a
10
signing.
million cheap.
Hey.
Yeah, very well done. Adam Wharton to Palace is one that's going to take a few years, but there's an English tax if I ever saw one. But he has been great for Blackburn. But Palace probably should have done more with the 20 million that they spent on him and got 4 players in because Hodgson ball ain't working.
What's the name of the Blackburn midfielder?
now.
Left-footed midfielder that you're mentioning now?
Adam Wharton.
So Adam Wharton and Mateusz França cost Crystal Palace 50 million. These two players, 25 or plus 20. So big expectations with these two Wonderkids. John Textor era. They have to deliver.
Yeah, well, they got to get rid of Hodgson to deliver, frankly. So that needs to change, and it needs to change stat because they look lost. They look absolutely lost right now. But anyway, my front 3 are going to be weird ones because not really. The left wing, like you mentioned, there's a lot of potential talent there. But I had to go with Malik Fofana at Lyon, another John Textor special, baby. But he is one that I think already scored in the Coupe de France for them. I really do feel like he is going to hit big long-term for Lyon and part of a Lyon resurgence long-term as well. But up top, I went even with the great loans. Hugo Ekitike finally getting out of PSG. Rodrigo Ribeiro to Forest is a lot of intrigue. But I had, to Fulham. I had to go with Marcus Leonardo, just because also the price tag, right? The price tag was good, man. The price tag is solid, and you're going to see return for that amount of money spent for him long term because he is a baller. Gift Orban is another John Textor, interesting one that should work out, but he's not been as dominant as he was with Ghent. But Benfica also is on the list for me with the right wing. I went with Gianluca Prestiani simply because you mentioned some of the top dribblers on the planet. I think Gianluca, at his age, is one of the top dribblers on the planet. So Prestiani at Benfica, and again, price is right, baby. You guys are doing, not you guys, but Benfica is doing wonderful, wonderful, smart business.
It's
bringing in, I love it.
Rui Pedro Brás was used to be a sports commentator here in Portugal. He showed his prowess. Yeah. He showed his good decision making, and Rui Costa said, "Why not?" And that "why not" led to Roger Schmidt decision and a lot of players leaving and becoming butts. One case I can give you an example, Bretton, is Vertonghen leaving with Roger Schmidt start and then betting on Antonio Silva. They couldn't bet on the same 2 players in that squad. They had to make a call between the 2. That's a mad one. So you have Prestiani.
That is.
I do.
I have Prestiani. So I love Benfica's youthful core, man. I mean,
you're playing with them on Football Manager.
Yeah, they are. And João Neves on the scoreline today, I saw. Good for him, right?
Good for him. His 3rd goal. João Neves scored 2 goals against Sporting in the past, and now 1 goal. It's good to see. But yes, my best winter transfer 11 my best under 23 winter transfer 11. Without goalkeeper, I have at the left. It's Valentin Barcu, but I want to give a shout out to Ian Matson. How can Chelsea leave a player like that go? Then I have Beraldo with Dragusin at center back and Sasha Boy at right back. Then my 3 in midfield, I have Baldanzi, elite move. I've got Artur Vermoren, bargain deal by Atletico, and I've got Claudio Echeverri, a bit Julian Alvarez vibes right there with City. And then my 3 forward, I've got 2 Benfica players, just like you. Marcos Leonardo and Prestiani at the right, and then at the left, I've got Zaragoza that has landed to Bayern Munich. That's my best 11 of under 20.
That's good. I really am intrigued by the Zaragoza move to Bayern. And with Koeman out, Koeman's injured, it's going to be pretty he might be thrown into it pretty quickly, thick and fast. But he has been a lot of fun to watch. It's just the level. Obviously, he's made the Spanish national team. He's done some things. But, Bayern picked him. And we're gonna get to see him real quickly.
Dyer one. I even liked the Eric Dyer transfer, but we didn't mention Sancho.
Yep.
We didn't mention Sancho, and it's not because we don't believe in Sancho. It's just because we wanted to highlight other players, right, Breton?
Yep, it's true, and he's ancient at actually 23 years old now, so we can't say that. But before we move, I am shocked, right, that nobody came in for these Turkish starlets that are back to doing ridiculous things. Kaan Uzan, 18-year-old midfielder slash shadow striker for Nuremberg, has 10 goals now and 14 starts, and no Bundesliga team
What?
went for him. No Bundesliga went for him. It makes no sense. He's in the running for the second Bundesliga Golden Boot. He's got 13 goals in all competitions, and he's 18 years old. I mean, this kid's a canvas still to be written on or to be drawn on. And then you've got 18-year-old striker for Besiktas, Sami Kiliksoy, who's I think he's got. Oh, come on. I got it down. I want to make sure I get it right. 7 goals in the last 8 games, and nobody tried to pry him away from Besiktas. They're definitely coming for him this summer, but they are back. These Turkish stars are back. Kaan Uzun, Sami Kiliksoy. Beyond that, you've got, Arda Güler, Kenan Yildiz at Juve. Kokshu, oh gosh, it's the future's bright, but prove it to me.
Faglioli,
prove it
right?
to me
That's
at Euro.
The left back of Fenerbahce is quite talented too. I can't remember the name I know. Please,
I gotta look him up.
If you're listening until now, just type down below the name of this player. Is tremendously talented. And in the Turkish league, it was the left back of Fenerbahce, the best in my view, and the right back of Galatasaray that's now moved to Bayern Munich. Don't be surprised if he has the same destiny, that same player. We didn't mention AFCON, it's true, but we're going to have a special AFCON time in the next podcast because we're going to have our best 11. We're going to be talking about the semifinals and maybe a final if it's until then. But we will be mentioning a big focus on the next FC Wonderkid episode on AFCON, people. Don't think we forgot one of the greatest competitions that I've been seeing in terms of entertainment.
But in short, you can't write this stuff. You cannot write this stuff. The intrigue and the excitement of AFCON lives on, and no better vehicle than the hosts. The Côte d'Ivoire.
You said it, Breton.
I love it.
You said that Côte d'Ivoire was going to win AFCON. People called you mad, especially after they finished third. Now, they beat Senegal, and they're in the semifinals. I think they're going to the final.
I mean, it has me in stitches just thinking about it. You had the two guys that won the game for them, right, against Mali. Where it was a 22-year-old and a 20-year-old. You got Simon Adingra, who scored the equalizer in the 90th minute. You got a 20-year-old then, Oumar Diakite, who plays for Stade Reims, who scores the winner. Come on, he takes off his shirt, and you've got, I forget who, but somebody, Wilfred Singo, is chasing him down, trying to hold his shirt down because he knows he's already got a yellow card. Nope, gets the red card. He's out. Next game. They have a caretaker boss who happened to be their U23 boss. It's a wonderful, wonderful story next to DR Congo, next to Nigeria, proving me wrong that's for dang sure. And Victor Osimhen hasn't even, stepped into it just yet. And then South Africa getting this far on the back of Ronwen Williams. You got to love it. So I know we went long, but you had to bring it up. Those are your 4 semifinalists.
Whoa.
So I think it's Nigeria, Côte d'Ivoire in the final, and then I know you think Nigeria is winning it, and I think Côte d'Ivoire is winning it. What do you say?
I say Nigeria only conceded 1 goal, Breton. I can't bet against Nigeria. Yeah. Victor Osimhen, here's your moment to be a legend of Nigeria. Just like Didier Drogba is a legend for Côte d'Ivoire, just like Samuel Eto'o is a legend for the Cameroon. Now's your moment, Victor Osimhen. And you have 2 games that I think should be demanded that you win it. South Africa, yes, they've got the same. No, yes, South Africa are the team with the most clean sheets next to Nigeria, but still, you have a much better squad. And Congo.
Yes.
Big congratulations to Congo to get into the position that they're at. Mbemba, Simon Banza, one of the top goal scorers in the Portuguese league. Congratulations for putting Congo in this position. But people, let us know. Yeah. Tell us the name of the left back of Fenerbahce, the right way we should be saying his name. Let us know. What have we missed in the FC Wonderkid podcast? And if you're listening until now, thank you so much for listening to us on a weekly basis. And we hope you have a great and a bold week, people. Thank you for going bold with us another week.